The Derek Jeter ownership-led group cannot have gotten off to a worse start, and I think the best way to summarize what has gone on in South Beach is pure fuckery. So Derek Jeter, via Andrew Marchand of ESPN, Jeter's handling of the Stanton situation was questioned. Two execs said the proper way to go about it would have been to find the team Stanton would go to and work from there. But the Marlins put together the parameters for deals to San Fran, St. Louis, while Stanton preferred the Dodgers and the Yankees. On top of that, making matters worse, Jeter seemed to suggest in a conference call that he offered to keep Stanton, but Stanton wanted out, forcing the Marlins to make a move. This comes after reports that Stanton and Jeter hadn't talked since Jeter took over the team in September. On top of that, he is not at the winter meetings. Here's what Strom tweeted. The Marlins are executing major franchise-changing deals, including the swap of their best player. And the head of baseball ops, Derek Jeter, should be at the winter meetings to explain the moves. It's a responsibility that comes with the title. He is not here. Someone said, well, he doesn't owe you anything, so, you know.
Where was Derek Jeter last night?
It was at Monday Night Football. All right, so Colin tweeted at Buster, he doesn't owe you anything. I doubt it's in his contract. Go fuck yourself. And Buster's like, you completely missed the point. The winter meetings are not only about the media, it's the work of your organization. It's about working with your scouts, about players, the market. Every baseball ops person in high authority is here every year for a reason. And I agree with Buster Olney. And I think that this was a robbery.
You mean Colin Brewster wasn't right?
I'm sorry?
You mean Colin Brewster wasn't right?
I think Colin brought up a point that a lot of people are questioning, but I think it's also important for a guy who's the face of the franchise and leading a new ownership group and is trying to establish his name in South Beach to be there, to not only be like, hey, I am literally the face of this team now.
Because by the way, I'm okay with, I don't mean to talk trash about you, Colin, but because
Colin doesn't know who we are.
He's gonna find out today. Right. Because I'll be the first to assume a lot of sports media figures, reporters and everyone wants the story to be a lot of times a little bit about them. They like to control the narrative. Ben and I always disagree. I've said it 18 times. I think they like to insert their name and they want to be answered to more than they need to be. Okay. So I get Colin's wondering why Buster Olney is so upset about Derek Jeter not being there to talk to him. I hear you. But this time it's not about the media. This time this is your team. If you're lead ownership group for a team, and this is like a lot of people like me's dream. If I ever hit some kind of like idea and I become a multi-billionaire, I would be like, the dream job, the dream investment is a professional sports franchise, either basketball or baseball. Completely. So if now I get that chance and now I'm in, that's all I'm gonna be doing. I can't wait to go to the winter meetings. I can't wait to be there.
Of course.
And help make decisions or have insight of what's happening or see how this is working if I don't know how it all goes down.
But remember that when he was in New York, that's the last thing that he wanted. So it's already in his DNA for more than 20 plus years of being on the East Coast in the Bronx playing for the Yankees, that he doesn't want any media attention whatsoever. The problem is you are creating horrible attention for your franchise by trading your franchise player, Giancarlo Stanton, who, even though there was pressure from both sides on wanting to make a deal, you didn't have to do it right now, and you didn't have to get Starlin Castro and minor leaguers Jorge Guzman and Jose Devers, who could turn into good players. I don't think they're going to be anywhere of the same ilk as Giancarlo Stanton. Not only that, this was a robbery for South Beach. This was a robbery for the Marlins, because aside from the player, okay, you're also, Major League Baseball this is, entrusting Derek Jeter instead of Jorge Mas, who is apparently of Cuban descent, something that Major League Baseball didn't want to do. So what did they do? They kept dangling the keys and then moving it and moving it and moving it for Jorge, just so they could drive up the price so he wouldn't buy them. And then they wanted to, it appears to me, through my own theory, they wanted to give the franchise to Derek Jeter. You know what you don't do if you're Derek Jeter? You don't fire the TV team. You don't fire Jack McKeon. You don't fire Mr. Marlin, literally his nickname, Jeff Conine. You don't fire a scout who's been there for a long time, who days prior had surgery to remove a cancerous tumor apparently in his colon, and he's finding out as he's in the hospital, oh shit, I just got fired by the Marlins, that's great. This is the last thing that you do. You don't fire also the team president, David Sampson, to go then fire the people who you want to get rid of because you're too big of a pussy to do it yourself. Like, this could not have gotten off to a worse start for the Marlins. And apparently I just got an update on my phone as we're shooting this that they want to trade Marcell Ozuna. So what are you doing? Like, what's the point in everything that you're trying to do? Because this team, if they had some pitching, would have been in the playoffs, and then it's a complete roll of the dice for whatever would happen.
Okay, so now my turn for devil's advocate.
Okay.
Why can't he fire everyone that's in, if he's coming to take over? He wants a new
He's more
regime.
than a lot. Okay.
He wants it to feel different. He wants this kind of, maybe this kind of approach to getting players or trading players or negotiating and all that stuff. Maybe this whole system, he's like, this is a little different. I want it to be my way since it's now mostly and partially my team. Now, I agree with you, just to put it out there.
Can I answer your question?
Because I think the thing that was least out of his control was the way Stanton left. Now,
it wasn't the way.
I'm sorry. It was the way, not the fact that he did, because he wanted out. That's what he asked.
He wanted out,
you
but
stay?
you didn't have to
and he
trade
said no.
him. You didn't have to trade him, especially to your team that you played for and where you were in Monument Park.
That's the fun part, because that's what people are saying.
Bullshit.
Because Derek Jeter, although retired, still working for the Yankees.
Yo, completely. Of course he is. Of course. Words of Uger.
But to answer the devil question, why? Why can't he do all that?
The devil question.
Why can't he do everything his way?
Okay, so
fire everyone.
Here's my papers. All right, so here's my point. To answer your question, here's why. He's allowed to do whatever he wants. I don't understand, if you are part of a new ownership group, why you would fire everything that was right there to making the playoffs. You were so close. Now, if you wanted to trade Giancarlo Stanton, you don't trade him for Starlin Castro, who is like if I were to give him a baseball rating out of 10, I would give him like a 7.1. Like, he's a good player. He's not great. He's not, earth-shattering with his talent. And then you also don't get some like okay, could be, but probably won't be great prospects. When you trade a guy like Stanton, who, by the way, won the MVP, you try to get good value and also build up a farm system that is atrocious. Like when the Cubs went forth with their complete overhaul, Theo Epstein made it very clear this is a 5-year project, and they won the World Series. And they were very close 2 times because they made the NLCS 3 straight years to literally getting there. They were close. They were so close. So as I'm looking at this, if you're Derek Jeter, you're giving away the MVP to go to your former team. Already it seems like that's a conflict of interest, but whatever. Like, Major League Baseball signed up for this. And you're trying to overtake an ownership group previously with Jeffrey Loria that was atrocious. The one thing you want to do is get prize prospects so you have a future. You just mortgage your future with a guy in Starlin Castro who's probably like 31 years old at this point, and 2 maybe okay prospects.
But what about the money? Maybe there's money they save. We all know Giancarlo's contract.
Considering that Bryce Harper is set to get $400 million, I'm okay with 230 or 270 for a guy who's going to hit 65 home runs.
But you give up your MVP, maybe you get 3.
You gotta hit
spend that money on
prospects, man, and he didn't do it. And that's what's so disappointing. That's what's so disappointing about this. They were close, man. They were close. And Jeter just screwed him.
The Marlins have a history of getting rid of a bunch of players.
They do. They do. But not in this way, and especially from a front office perspective. So look, if they win a World Series in 5 years and he makes the right moves, I will jump on this medium and do this show in a giant diaper that I was wrong. But I'm willing to wager that it will not happen and they will not win the World Series in 5 years. Because of that imagery,
I really hope that they don't.
They will not.
Just because of what you'd have to do.
I gotta start doing my push-ups. Subscribe to TYT Sports.